Good morning. This lesson is for my Honors Integrated 1 class and my Integrated 1 class. But before I get started, I want to say I hope that everyone is doing all right out there. I don't know the title of this lesson. It depends on what class you're in, and it depends on how I title it. So that's what the title is going to be. But what I do know are the 4 goals that we have today. And they're actually going to be kind of short, even though there's quite a few goals. Our first goal, review what rigid motions do. Second goal, review congruent, or the symbol which means congruent. Our third goal, I said second goal, right? Our third goal means to define rigid motion criteria for congruence. And our fourth goal is going to be an explanation of the HRW homework. This does not apply to my regular Integrated 1 class, only my honors class. So once we finish the third goal, I'm going to have to make a supplementary video for my Integrated 1 class. My honors students, you need to stick around for this. All right, so our first goal is, again, a review of what rigid motions do. Rigid motions are translations, rotations, and reflections, right? Slides, spins, and flips. I just did a TikTok dance. I'll do it again. Slides, spins, and flips. I'm TikToking. The rigid motions do not change the size or the shape of a geometric figure. So the pre-image and the image are the same size and shape. Okay, keep that in mind. Rigid motions do not change the size or the shape. So the pre-image and the image are the same. Now we're on to our second goal. And that's to review what congruent is. Congruent, or the symbol which means congruent, congruent figures are the same size and same shape. All right, our third goal. Define the rigid motion criteria for congruence. So rigid motion, the rigid motion criteria for congruence means that there exists a sequence of rigid motions that maps one figure onto another figure. So let's go back to this. Rigid motions do not change the size or the shape of the pre-image and the image. And so right here I'm saying that we're putting these guys together. Right here I'm saying that the criteria for congruence with rigid motions means that there exists a sequence of rigid motions, right? So you can translate, rotate, or reflect one object, or a sequence, multiple moves, to get one object to map onto another object. Let me translate this. Translated. You can spin, flip, and or slide one shape so it perfectly covers another shape. Okay, if you're able to do that, you have congruent shapes, because again, rigid motions do not change the size and the shape. And if you can spin, flip, and or slide one shape so it perfectly covers another shape, you have performed rigid motions. And if it covers the other shape through a sequence of rigid motions, that means that those two shapes must also be congruent. So let me go ahead and erase the board. I'm going to set up the fourth goal for my honors students. So let me clean this up and I'll be back. I'm back for the fourth goal, final goal. Hopefully this last time I'll be back for this week. So I think I will be, but I'd like to explain what the HRW homework's going to be like. So what I have here is I just have a review, recognize the translation, so a slide. So 1 would slide to where 2 is. A rotation, which is a spin. 3 spins to where 4 is. And a reflection, which is a flip. 5 flips to where 6 is. So there's the basic moves, right? But we want a sequence of events. And just by the way, I did trace a shape, and they're all the same shape. They're supposed to be the exact same, okay? So, for example, maybe you need to tell me how to go from shape 1 to shape 6. How would you go from shape 1 to shape 6? And so if we're able to articulate a sequence of rigid motions that would take shape 1 and will make it land perfectly on shape 6, we would then say that these shapes are congruent by the rigid motion criteria. So something that stands out to me is if I was to reflect it over some line and translate it down, right? So reflect over a line and translate down. Over a vertical line, right? So that would be what you would be doing on HRW. However, this is going to be on a coordinate plane, and so you would say I would reflect over maybe a vertical line going through x is 5, and I would translate, you know, the y equals y minus 5 direction or y minus 4 direction. So you're gonna be explaining on a coordinate plane how this would go. Another one that we could do would be, how does 5 turn into 4? You know, so we see that there's a spinning, but you can't quite make it spin. So what you would want to do is you would want to translate 5 up to 3 and then rotate it to 4. So maybe we could have translated 1 down to 5 and then flipped it to 6. That would be another explanation here. But again, you're trying to think of a couple ways to get to the result. So you need to recognize if it's been slid, if it's been spun, or it's been flipped. Or maybe a combination of both. So hopefully this will be enough to get you guys through the homework assignment. Again, I think that once you start doing this homework, it's going to be pretty clear what we need to do. You just need to know what these are and recognize it and know the rules as well. So I'm going to go ahead and end this lesson here. Again, I hope everybody is doing all right out there. Have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.